Hello and welcome to a random video. I'm Joseph Joestar. Obviously not. I felt like making this because I was reflecting on just the characters I have in Genshin Impact and Honkai Star and really what the problem is with the gacha and to explain it to people who are not aware, but also to show the devs that this business model really isn't good. It's generally scummy and it's just bad for the game and also its reputation, that's what I meant. It's weird how easy you can confuse that word. Holy crap. Anyway, so I've done some calculations and also got some resources. So I've been playing Genshin Impact since 1.1 patch, and given that we're at 5.1, seems kind of fitting to actually make this. The problem with the game is it's too greedy and I want to enjoy it more, but I find that the game is too greedy for what it is and what it's offering, so in general it's hard to recommend any game by Hoyoverse because of this. And I guess if I ever came to play another gacha, it'd be hard to recommend them as well. And the primary reason is because of how expensive it is to play these games. And that's why I'm always hesitant to recommend it, because most of the people playing games nowadays are not earning a big enough income to even afford this shit, so it just boggles the mind sometimes when you see the prices for any of these games and realise they're really expensive. And then, you go into debt saying I have, unfortunately, because of these games. It's just a frustrating situation, and in a sense I am considering quitting just over the gacha alone, even though those are decent games. They're just not optimised well enough for the average audience. Without out of the way, one disclaimer is there is weapons on some of these characters I have rolled for, but I don't think there's a tier list for that. Same with Honkai Star right here. And I'll explain basically what these are. A Genesis top-up is when you use actual money to get the in-game premium currency to roll on that character, which you use to buy Quaint Phase. It's a really stupid system again, because I don't know why. It's ridiculous actually. I don't know why they employed these systems, it's bizarre. But to get these limited characters, they're not limited because they rerun, but they still have to wait. Which is the sucky thing about this, to be honest. So these are the ones I spent money on, and to show you what the crystals are, I've got it here. These prices are out of date. It's £10 more for this and £5 more for this. I don't know why mine's not cheaper, that's bizarre. I don't know how new that is actually, but in general, this is what it looks like for buying Genesis crystals, and the Honkai Star equivalent is Oneric shards, I think, and they're basically the same. They're the same thing, same purpose, and same currency system. And I've done this for both games at some point. And next you've got the overtime characters, which you can get by grinding the game, the exploration and events and quests. You'll get rewards like Hero Gems and sometimes even wishes. It's worth it actually, but it takes a lot of time. I'll tell you now, over the years it's taken quite a lot to actually grind this stuff. You also get it from achievements and stuff, I forgot to mention it in the brackets here. Along with overtime you have Welkin and Battle Pass, and these are pretty self-explanatory. Welkin, or the Express Supply card, they give you the premium currency over time, not crystals, the one that's in game. Like for Genshin Impact it's Primo Gems, for Honkai Star Rail it's Stellar Jades. They give you those over time, and you buy a month's worth, and if you log in every day you get rewarded with 90 of these, which over 2 days gets you one wish basically. And over 20 days it gets you 10 pulls, which doesn't sound like a lot compared to the currency here, which also have to explain. It costs 1,600 to do a temple for any banner. Because each, again, it's complicated. These rolling things cost 160 each, and a temple guarantees you a 4-star basically, and lets you hit pity faster. I think there's a system called soft and hard pity, and it's basically a 50-50 chance. Although again, she recently updated it, and it's now a 55 to 45% chance to get a character you want. If you lose the first time, you do get it guaranteed next time. But this generally is an optimal system because, you know, you can just put these characters up for sale. You can also update the older characters and make them perform better and have their use be like still useful. It's just bizarre what Hoverse is doing sometimes. I generally don't understand it. But yeah, so that's the Welkin. The Battle Pass is basically the Battle Pass from any other game. If you buy it, you get extra rewards, but these are like 3 times rewards. And unfortunately, I have invested in both games for these, and the Welkin is about £5 each. And the same with the Express Pass, again, the same systems, different names, and the Battle Pass is £10 to £20. And to explain the difference, for £20, I think you just get some cosmetic things like avatars or name cards or furnishings, even for that matter, for the in-game housing for Genshin Impact. I'm not sure why this one got started, but you also get free resin, which is a system for daily grinding. Again, a very annoying system. Like, the game was already bad enough with resin, so I don't know why they've put a gacha on top of it. That shit makes no sense. Oh yeah, I forgot to explain the whole pity. I might have explained it wrong. I don't know what the pity means exactly. I know it just means there's a system for you to get the character you want. But the other part I need to explain is that there's basically a maximum of 90 balls to guarantee a character, which goes up to about 14,400 currency. That's how much it costs to guarantee a 5-star character, limited or not, because if you lose you get a standard banner character, which is like Jean here or Himiko from Star Rail. And there's 4-star, 5-star characters, and unfortunately these aren't labelled. Yeah, and then it would cost twice that for an actual limited 5-star at worst. And generally these are worst case scenarios. It would cost 28,800 of the premium currency. Best case scenario would be much earlier, and we can't really predict that. And actually, I did get 2 weapons in one weapon banner pool in this once, both limited. So I was pretty lucky, but not everyone has that luck. I think I've explained all of that now, and also the characters I don't own are the ones that I've not purchased really. The only 4-star here is Zephos. I don't own him. He's not my sort of character, but he also hasn't appeared on any banners, so that's why. And I've got a Star Rail, there shouldn't be any 4-stars because I've pretty much got them all yet. But anyway, I'll explain what the situation is and how much it's costing me as well. Genesis top-ups is basically when I've rolled on the banners and had to top up with the Genesis crystals here. Which is important because you can usually use what you've earned in game, and also this. These 3 characters here, believe it or not, are from the same patch, which is insane to think about. And I really only got it because I thought I could play Ganyu without a shielder like Zhongli, and Zhongli's are pretty much a shield character. There's different roles that characters play, and there's different metas and ways to tackle the content. Zhongli happens to be one of the best characters for basically absorbing all your damage and basically not allowing you to be interrupted. So it's like a no-brainer to get him, but there's also Yao, who's a DPS, who was the best win DPS at the time, and not anymore, unfortunately. Got power crept quite quickly by Wanderer and stuff, but Xiao, he became a meta again actually when Xianyan came out. Again, there's really complicated things here. You really should have been there to really understand it, unfortunately. That's one of the problems with live service games, so if you miss out, it's not necessarily because of rewards and stuff, it's more because of the patch content and stuff, and understanding all the things into a game. Yeah, see how I ended up getting as well and topping up for him. And yeah, and believe it or not, all three of these regret, which is pretty fucking annoying, really. And then there's Al Haytham here. I rolled on him because he was cool. Simple as that, and it wasn't necessarily because he had a certain niche or like meta. It's just because he was cool, and I actually didn't have the right characters for him. I needed this character here, Guki Shinobu, for him to work because he needed a Hyper Bloom team, which would have him, Guki as healer. She also applies Electro. Then a Hydro DPS, which would be either Xingqiu or Yilong. And probably a second Dendro if possible, but possibly an Anima as well. Instead even, so I'd do like Nahida who's a 5-star. Yeah, there's all sorts of complicated matters, but I didn't build him properly and he just sucked for years and I didn't know why. It's because he wasn't built properly. So I was like, oh, alright. Because he does similar damage to some of the recent meta DPS. Like going over that, but yeah, I wish I knew that because he would have been a non-regret character. But now he's been power crept by Kniech, the most recent character. That's frustrating. So yeah, those are the top ups, and they cost. This cost £200 to £300 total. I think I did mini top ups as well. There's probably a bit more in there. But shit, that costs a lot really. And the banner was about to end for Zhongli, I think. Could be wrong. Next is the Honkai Star Rail ones. It's kind of hard to explain because I think these characters were only in Pentagon and that's when I started playing again. These characters broke metas basically. Sparkle offered skill points, and which was pretty huge for the game because it's based around skill point usage. Because you have to manage it, and she just gives you free ones, which is insane for a character. And her light cone as well, her weapon, technically speaking, costs money as well. And I basically wailed on her because, not wailed, but spent because she's just very strong. She unfortunately isn't meta, so she became a great character. And then next we want Acheron, who is the most controversial character because she's a character that can't play well free to play, and usually characters like this with these games, you can play them free to play and do decent damage as a baseline, but sometimes you have characters that are below baseline, and the baseline becomes their signature weapon, which in Acheron's case here, she needed it to actually sustain damage and stuff and perform well. So what ended up happening was I got Acheron and I spent because I want to get Acheron, and then I want to get a fucking light cone, and you can actually see more random moments of this. I think I ended up spending £300 on her, and I think it was 100 for Sparkle, but 300 for Acheron. She's an expensive character and I have got my use out of her. She's easily a not regret character, but that's because she's doing insane damage and doing all the content really well. And I still use her. She uses teams like Pella, Jiachao, and someone who applies debuff like Gallagher, or recently Lingsha. Yeah, where's Lingsha? Just realised she's not on this list. Okay, that's funny. If you didn't put her here by accident. Okay, that's really funny. Yeah, that hasn't been updated. Anyway. But the problem is that this costs a lot of money, and I haven't even gone into what I've spent on these. Because these cost money, and I've had to make a difference for the Genshin Impact one because they offer generally better rewards with like the furnishings, resin, and the name cards and avatars. I think there's name cards, could be wrong. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I remember now. So for Genshin Impact, it's a big number. My calculation is Welkin price plus, how was it? Battle Pass price, which is £10 usually, but I spent £20 occasionally, so I made the difference to 16. And over the 48 months I've supposedly played the game, that has cost me £768, which is fucking insane. And I'll be honest, you shouldn't be spending this much money on a game. I've said this about Team Fortress 2 when I used to play it. Games like this are just predatory, and they will prey on your sort of vulnerabilities. Like I'm on the autism spectrum. I'm easily sort of controlled by like vibrancy of things and FOMO and stuff, and that's the same here. That's why I also spend like money on getting a character rather than waiting a few patches and getting them later, which isn't optimal because most of the time these patches also in these games for endgame, they require the newest characters. And I say require because you generally can't beat the content optimally without the new characters. And it sucks. And only Honkai Star Rail so far seems to be the only game that you can get away with it. You can still use like Acheron and Firefly, who implants a fire weakness, and that's the only exceptions, which is a massive problem for like something like Genshin Impact, where you need very niche character types and metas to even tackle content. Yeah, there are characters that are trying to change that, like Emily and Chevros. That's Emily, who basically revolve around different types of damage. But even then, it's not the most optimal route, which sucks. So yeah, again, it's expensive, and for Honkai Star Rail I didn't do the difference because I don't think there was anything I liked, so £180 so far. And I've only done it 12 months for the record because I quit in 1.1 and came back in 1.6, so I've technically done around a year's worth of patch anyway, with patches. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, a gacha on top of this is excessive. Like, this is fucking ridiculous, and to be honest, if they had characters in the Battle Pass and made it more expensive, I'd buy it. I'm not joking, because I prefer that system. You know, I think games like Fortnite and stuff are predatory, and probably I haven't actually done the research on it properly yet. But these would be more generous. Like, even if it's like a 4-star character, it's still kind of worth it. I think that's what they should do next, to be honest. They should give you a 4-star character picker for the Battle Pass, because that would make a lot of sense. You can get constellation for characters that you haven't previously, and for like a 5-star option, like could be at the very end or even like an extra part. Like for example, Honkai Star Rail increased the Battle Pass level to 70, where Genshin Impact is still in 50. So many complications with that there. Yeah, and also it's worth noting that standard banner characters, which you often lose the 50-52, like Jean, they do get power crept over time. Like Honkai Star Rail, the best in slot was Bronya, and now it's Sparkle for the skill point and the damage buff, which is fucking silly, and it's just ridiculous. And then you've got different metas, like follow up is very complicated. So those are the calculations, but I wanted to show you something else, and basically how this proves that games can do well without asking for excessive money. The first game I wanted to show, which I haven't actually got an image for, so I'll skip it, is Deep Rock Galactic. Cost, I think, £20 up front, probably less actually, and the DLC. There's probably like £50 in total, I could be wrong, but it's cheap and it's a live service game. That's the other thing. And not only that, it's stupidly fun. Anyone who's ever played that, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you watch someone play it in like co-op with random teammates, because co-op is the only way to play boys. All my lights come on. I get distracted by weird technical shit. There we go. But yeah, Deep Rock Galactic, stupidly fun and easily the best money investment I've ever made. Like, it's even better than music, I think, to be honest, because I've had more enjoyment now of Deep Rock Galactic than anything else. Which is insane to think about. And then there's the other game, which is Final Fantasy XIV. This is one I started playing more recently, and I've only finished Heaven's Ward at the moment. I've finished Round 1, obviously, because that comes after. No, that comes before Heaven's Ward. I literally finished Heaven's Ward today, just. I don't know. It's a fun game, but there's so much you can do, and that's often what makes MMOs appealing. It's because there's a lot you can do, but the thing with Final Fantasy that sets it apart from others, at least in my early experience here as a level 60 player, is that it's just simple, and there's no stupid complicated shit in between. It's very straightforward, and it isn't complicated at all. You don't have a battle pass, you do have microtransactions, but they're not too predatory either. And for the subscription price, if you compare this to WoW looks like a piece of shit, World of Warcraft. Just a short there. I used to play World of Warcraft, and it cost me a lot to play because the subscriptions, there was WoW tokens, which are the premium currency to get gold, and you also had like complicated shit like changing your character race and stuff, which you still have in Final Fantasy. But it's not as frequent, I don't think, because there's one thing that Final Fantasy does that makes it so much better than World of Warcraft, and I think most MMOs for that matter, because I don't know what other MMOs do, but I know that Final Fantasy is generous, and I'll show you now why. So for 30 days, I mean, entry, I don't know what that is actually, entry. Let's go standard. The standard costs £8.99. That's pretty cheap for a subscription-based game. Even though it probably used to be like £5, it's still reasonably priced, and for what you get for it, it's not bad either. Like, that's characters, but you don't even want these because I'll explain this later on. You don't want more than one character. But 90 days, £8.39, 180 days, £7.69 per month. These mean per month, not a monthly price star. But that's basically 6 months together, and this is a bargain. Yeah, most AAA games will give you like, I don't know, less than 40 hours of gameplay and cost you twice as much, which is insane. Like £52, I think that is. Could be wrong. Just did a quick calculation. And the AAA game costs you like 60 or 70. And you just don't get as much content, and that's sort of what makes games like this appealing. And similarly with Genshin Impact, like in Orchestra, it's a free game, but it has these big caveats. But Final Fantasy, I haven't really found many, and that says something about the quality of the game. And this isn't an advertisement for the game. I do strongly recommend it, but it isn't It's so exciting that you must play. He's very good if you like storytelling. And also if you like clicking buttons and modes and stuff. But, if you compare this to Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, the quality of them, it's absolutely embarrassing what Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail are. It's shameful, actually, thinking about it. Because these games are lacking quality that games older than it have, and that's embarrassing. And it isn't just like the monetization, it's also cutscenes, it's also storytelling, it's also I'm trying to think the other thing was the completionist side of things. I don't know how much FOMO there is in Final Fantasy XIV technically speaking, but as far as I know, pretty much most things are even collectible. I don't think there's anything really limited other than calendar events, which I haven't even touched yet, because I'm so busy with the story. Genshin story will last like 2 hours per patch, up to 10, depends on the story really. Remember the Subaru one went on forever, and so did Fontaine's to an extent. And that lands might be heading that way, but Final Fantasy lasts you hundreds of hours. At least each story is like over 10 hours, and side stories I don't know how long they go on for, but you've got class quests, it's so much good stuff in it, and I can't commend it enough. And that's why I'm saying this really. Genshin Impact and Honkai Star and probably Xenostone Zero, which I don't want to touch for this reason. They cost too much money, and I'm going to probably contact the customer support about the pricing because it seems wrong here in the UK. But in general, I don't want to spend too much money on these games because whilst they're good, they're not great quality. And even with Nalan being really good so far, they don't really deserve the money still. And I'll pause the video quick and I'm going to show you the list of things that the game's going to do, and this is for the people who play Genshin Impact / Honkai Star Rail, but I've made a copy pasta for the surveys they do, because the developers do these surveys basically asking players to fill it out, how satisfied are they with this and whatever. It varies on each patch because there's different things and there's events, also events of FOMO as fuck. Honkai Star Rail has the right idea about archiving the best ones, but the small ones you just miss all the time. So yeah, I'll bring it up quick. I'll also show you my just to-do list because I find this interesting actually. I have this for Honkai Star Rail as well, and this is the most simple version. But I've basically got to-do lists of everything to do in the game. I've got to build Kachina, I've got to build Kanich, got to prepare for Alakino when I roll on her, potentially build out Haven, build other characters for Invisit Jokos, and also Dea as a sub DPS if we don't get a good one soon. I've also got the cheat sheets for how many materials you need. Minus 48 with crowns and there. 5-star weapon stuff, weapon materials, basically the mod drops, boss materials, mod drop materials, just general. I think for talents actually, and then more cost, and finally the currency. Yeah, and then the battle pulse weapon, which is currently our only option. It should be more value if you could get a 4-star. Anyway, 4-star character I mean. But here I've got survey feedback, and this is basically what I'm gonna copy and paste whenever I do a survey in Genshin Impact. I'll have to do the same for Honkai Star Rail, I think. I can't say how fed up I am of just all these things being ignored in the game, and it's insane. There's just obvious things like normal daily rotation, material conversion, which we have in Honkai Star Rail but not Genshin Impact. Interactive map, which most AAA games have now, just for the record. quick apply configuration because there's a delay, initiate co-op matches within the domain, iframes of bosses need to be removed. It's obvious things, and I said this before in my other video. You need to test the game as a player and not a developer. And the reason that is because you find the flaws as a player where you wouldn't find them as a developer, because the developer is only testing it in a closed space. So there will always be problems, so long as the developers are the only ones testing it. If players test it and pass the feedback, that's better. That's generally better than the developer testing it, and I guess point across. And unfortunately, like CEOs and stuff now seem to think that profit is the way to go, and laying off QA testers and whatever is a good choice because players test it for you. No, that's not how this works. And anyone who's actually worked in the gaming industry, I haven't for the records, but I've heard this from other people, you know all the problems that players face, and basically how you monetize a game properly, and how you gain the respect of other players. Like both the games I mentioned here, Deep Rock Galactic and Final Fantasy XIV, they're renowned for being very positive and being good to like a player feedback. They generally listen and take it like really well. And I think Deep Rock Galactic is probably my favourite case of this, or like weirdly enough actually. If you can even have a favourite for that, but they listen and they often do what the players ask. It's not like a angry you need to do this thing, it's more like this game, we love this game. Is it possible to have this thing? And it's like, yeah, sure. And they do it. And that's just amazing. And it shows you how badly games treat you as a player when that's not even a basic thing. And it felt so unusual to me playing Deep Rock Galactic and finding that the developers listen and make the changes and stuff, and also roll back some changes if there needs to be. It just shows you the respect that the developers have for you, if they actually respect you, that is. And I generally don't feel that in Genshin Impact on and Honkai Star Rail. They tried to mend things in Genshin Impact by addressing it in the 5.0 special program, but I generally call bullshit on most of it, because whilst there is good feedback and they have listened to what we've been saying for years, I have to ask, who have you been listening to? Anyway, thanks for watching. I think this is important to make and spread the message about. Sorry for the quality and stuff, I'm not really good with editing or even talking. I just felt like making this because it's important to me, it's important to other people, I think. Yeah. I will see you in another video, and obviously comment, subscribe and whatever. Farewell.